Let's just sit back, watch the images, and let our imaginations take us to Solaris. Good evening, Janice in accounting, and welcome to everybody. I'm sorry for starting so late, but I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I think it's going to be... it's probably going to be a shorter cast tonight, just because I sort of want to get back on track with my sleeping, but this game has a way of keeping me up. Not much, Janice, in accounting. I was having it's a pretty good day today. There was an exceptionally generous game donation that somebody made today, but I think I'll wait till they're in the chat before I I say too much about that. And yeah, just looking forward to continuing on with this game. I know we're a little bit in a pattern where we're more so building up our infrastructure and getting over some of the inefficiencies on our planet. We might have a little bit of action tonight. Let's load it up. I know I always sort of finish on what my next few steps are going to be, but I'll admit over the past week I've forgotten what those were, so let's see what we've got. So last time we did a Federation. I believe we also control the Federation fleet, since we are the leader. And our current leader also has a fleet expansion agenda, so we can actually build some on our own account. We've got more than enough energy, but we've lost the capacity for it. So I think we either need to start building up some more capacity or find some better uses for this energy. A potential solution might be to start using some of the surplus energy to trade with my allies. That'll strengthen them. Not so sure if I certainly wouldn't be able to do it with a rival anyway, but perhaps putting that towards some of the neutral planets that we might be able to win over to our side. As always, we'll be pursuing a little bit of research. Ideally, we'll shore up our physics just so we can sort of have a nice balance across the board. Of course, physics is also going to be informing our military as well, so it's more than a few reasons as to why we would want to do that. Although, of course, engineering is certainly no slouch in that, and social, of course, is also going to be affecting our fleet cap, so it's not assured that we're not going to have uses for it. I believe I might start a war. We're thinking of liberating BOI. And in terms of looking at what we're up against, hey, I didn't know we had one of these. Oh, they are not spacefaring yet. Let's just take a look here. Their naval capacity is superior to mine, however, we are equivalent for everything else. I have more allies that will come along in a fight. I believe they only have one. And El Canoe, great to see you, my friend. We've actually got two auto hosts, Alex the Rambler 146 and Bloggin'T. Both of them, Bloggin'T is a little bit newer to casting, or becoming reacquainted with casting. El Canoe, though, I definitely want to give a proper shout out to, and I know Jesse Quill is casting right now, so... oh, speaking of which, Thank you very much for that, host too, Elkanu. I don't know why you didn't get a alert. Let me just take a quick look and see what's going on with Streamlabs. While I'm doing that, guys, and before we unpause the game, let me take a minute and tell you about Elkanu, who is an outstanding caster, French-speaking, recently moved to the United States. And how you doing, Sam Samson? Good to see you again. Elkanu, again, I think he fits into a very special category for me for two reasons. One, he's one of the clearest examples of a streamer where I went into a cast wanting to know whether or not I wanted to buy a game, and he successfully made the sale. Now, of course, he wasn't intending to do this. He was just simply doing his thing. But I think it's a bit of a testament to his casting ability that he is able to, to make that connection, to show the game off as best as it can. How are you doing, distinguished gentlemen? What an introduction. Elkanu, as I always like to say about his cast, really has captured the experience of, well, not even just the experience, but he's really nailed down the idea of love of gaming. It's really the thing that comes through his cast a lot. And it's a lot of fun to watch him play games. Even if they're ones that aren't very strong, he will always find a way of making it interesting, of making it sort of worth your time to take a look at. And it's a very rare ability. It's, it's very easy for people to say stuff like, oh, you should give me a key for a game, it's free publicity or something like that. But the fact of the matter is not a lot of casters actually do a good job of delivering on this kind of promise. And yet I cannot think of a single game that Elkanu has played that has not gotten anything but the royal treatment. It does not mean that he is, he's not a shill player by any means. He'll give you a very frank view of what the game is like, but he does a very good job of finding the fun no matter what. And this is entirely independent of his showmanship, which is absolutely top-notch. Even if you are not a French speaker, you are going to find one of the best senses of humor on Twitch, and somebody who's completely aware of sort of what the situation looks like, how he can sort of angle it towards humor, towards fun. And it could be anything from playing XCOM or Dark Souls to, indies that I've never even heard of. And it's very hard for me to watch an Elkanu cast without wanting to buy the game that he's playing. So the thing I need to stress the most, and especially in the case of Elkanu, because I know there is a certain resistance for non-French speakers to watch a cast that's in another language, you are doing yourself a tremendous disservice if you're not following and checking out Elkanu. It may not be your thing, right? I may just have, I have the angle of wanting to learn French better anyway. But, I mean, Jessie Quill is a caster who I have very deep respect for, and she has a blast every time that she watches Elkanu. So, again, I think it's very important that the talent on Twitch, anybody can set up a Twitch channel, but it's never guaranteed that there's going to be an audience there, and it's definitely never guaranteed that the audience will be, will be able to find these great casters. And so the reason why I spend the time, the reason why I keep flogging this stuff, is that these are people who I'm really passionate about in terms of watching. I have a great time whenever I see them, and it's why I take the time out of my own cast to bring them to your attention, because it's very easy to just hear people, give the casual shout out. It's very easy to hear people just, say, it's like, oh yeah, they hosted me, so I got to say something nice about them. I say this because, my job is to entertain, and I can't be live all the time. And so, clearly when I'm offline, even when I'm online, these are some casters that I think you'll have a great time with, and they kind of come along with some of the highest recommendations that I can give. So, welcome OCS1 Spectre. I'm doing well. Oh, no problem, Janison Accounting. There's no attendance taken here. Alright, I'm gonna slow down the game a little bit while I talk about my immediate plans. I think what I want to be doing before anything is just finishing out my both my personal fleet as well as the sort of the faction fleet for the Glorious Concord, my federation. And the big question that I have here, so the Pelex Credonian Galactic Union, these are rivals of ours. Now you'll notice they're actually getting quite big, so there's a couple of things that I want to do. One is essentially falling into something that is known as the Thucydides trap. And the next thing is that they're actually blocking up a goal that I want. So at the very least, I want BOY to be liberated and gain access to the research that I want to do there. But more importantly, too, I want to sort of start stemming the expansion of this group. I mean, I myself could start picking up the pace. I suspect I could probably build a colony ship and be able to start pushing out into space myself. But it's tricky because there will be costs for pushing out on these potentially habitable planets. So I think the plan for the next little while is going to be sort of assess my ability to wage a war.
Complete.
I have a feeling that's going to be fairly straightforward. Once I've sort of assessed my chances and I feel that they're good, at the very least, liberate BOY, and then we're just going to take a look and see what some of the other war goals we can capture are. Ideally, we take away some big planets of theirs that are hard to recapture. Although it is worth remembering, I don't want to make the war goal too difficult to achieve, simply because I may wake up and find that I'm not able to actually enforce it, or that I'm going to draw myself into a longer war than I intended. We'll see that in a second. A little bit more medium-term goals is to deal with this gap in my exploration. So the most logical expansion plot will be here. I don't necessarily want to poke the Ontak protectors too much. Going close to them, they already have a very different style of government from me, and they count as overwhelming. We're done for if they take us on. As they say, we have precious little time for your kind. So really, we're just hoping that they don't roll over and smush us in their sleep. Our main rivals would be the Bedros United Dominions, who is kind of pushing up against one of my allies, so we have a little bit of an incentive to cut them down to size. But the big thing here is that we've got currently 5 inhabitable planets. We've already sort of taken care of that. Now we compare this to sort of somebody who has a resource that we want, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 systems inhabited. 8. Or whatever's happened here for them to claim this. So we'll say, okay, so seven systems inhabited and whatever's going on Figar. Very rapid expansion, and all that they need to do is get a little bit of a technological edge, and all of a sudden we have a fight that we can't win on our hands. Now the drawback here is that my Federation partner, the Empire of Earth, or actually what do they officially call themselves? United Nations of Earth. The fact of the matter is they're going to get the brunt of this particular attack. But I think as long... that may also be a benefit to me, because that may split the enemy fleet and we can move in on them. But I'll maybe do the war planning a little bit later, because we've got some other things that we can do. So as far as the fleet is concerned, I've got 6 more sort of resource points to use for my Federation Navy, and then I've got 2 more for my own Navy. So let's start by taking a look at my capital. And we can build a Corvette, which takes up 1, so we need to build 2 of those, or we can go for a destroyer. Let's just take a quick look at my fleet composition. So we've got 1 cruiser, 8 destroyers, 15 corvettes, 3 raiders, basically 5 raiders. So we're okay on corvettes, to be honest. I think I'll actually throw more and more destroyer in because we've got quite a few light ships. So I'm gonna unpause and wait till I amass the resources. As far as the Star Hunters, we've got 2 cruisers, 4 destroyers, 8 corvettes. I'm actually tempted to do another destroyer. The magnetic field of Fuo 7 experienced a complete reversal while it was being absorbed by the ISS Zebrax. This rare event has interchanged the positions of the planet's magnetic poles. Fortunately, it was all recorded by the sensors on our ship, providing our scientists with a lot of valuable data. We gained 150 physics research.
I would never want to belong to any club.
Cultivar, thank you very much for that follow. I thought I saw you follow before, but if you had not followed before, my apologies, and thank you for doing so now. So I could speed up the game. We're really just waiting to the end of the month to get the resources, so no reason to go too crazy. Looks like we were just shy of what we needed for the destroyer, so unlucky for me, but I think I'll do a destroyer both for my own navy and for the Federation Navy. And then we'll think about... Glad to see you here, Cultivar. For all of you, by the way, for those of you who are lurkers, I'm definitely a big fan of the lurker. I've done it many times myself. And I used to have a habit where I would greet people even if they were inside the chat and hadn't spoken. Now I noticed that tended to turn people off. I noticed that more often would actually result in people leaving the stream. I think they felt a little uncomfortable from it. So with that in mind, I've learned my lesson, and I don't quite do those kinds of shoutouts anymore. But if you followed and I haven't said thank you, also because my alerts have been a little unreliable, by all means feel free to speak up in chat. I never take attendance, but I love to get to know some of the people who are watching, especially if you like the game that I'm doing or if you have a specific reason why you started following. I've been very lucky to have a rewarding chat, and when I'm not casting as well as I could be, when I'm not on my A game, I tend to notice that you good people come in and fill the gap. So, as always. I'm not using any mods, Cultivar. I was given a copy. My streaming experience of this was I was given a copy before it was released, and that's actually probably the biggest audience that this has ever pulled for the channel. And then once I noticed when it was released, there were a lot of actually bigger streamers that started doing it, and I know a lot of people like when I play Crusader Kings 2, so I sort of moved aside. And I really took the opportunity with Leviathans, which actually probably for purposes of disclaimers, Paradox also gave me Leviathans, which is what we're playing right now. They gave me a copy for both the base game and the DLC. As kind of an opportunity here to get reacquainted with a game that I felt I'd sort of undertreated, both in terms of streaming and in terms of my own, just my own interest. I think it's a really interesting game. It actually fills a nice little gap in the Paradox sort of game series. So I've really liked being able to sort of do this extended playthrough of this group here. So anyways, guys, the reason I'm holding on this screen here, you'll recall this is a species that we made specifically around the idea that they're short-lived, so it's always a bit of a risk to go for the older leaders, but in this case here I am actually going to go for the 47-year-old, and that's just simply because they've got intellectual output. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be doing a little bit of a shuffle in terms of the planets. So for instance, we've got... Alright, so we've got an intellectual here. So what I want to do is take Zerglus, put him on Liseth Prime. And for Hizzle Prime, we're gonna get admittedly a green governor, but one who gives us a bonus to our research. And this is, again, just in line with our aim to improve. I'm going to leave that one last leadership spot open, and I need to decide whether or not I want to make them another, basically make them another admiral, or if I want to have somebody who will be assisting planetary invasions. I'm inclined to having another admiral, if I'm completely honest, and that's just because planetary invasions may not be necessary to achieve the goal of the war that we're planning on doing. So, you took a break until Heinlein, and almost to the end of your first Iron Man game, loving it. Yeah, so this one, I jumped straight into Iron Man both cases, just because I think it's the only way to play Paradox games. I think there's a tendency for a lot of gamers to sort of want to win and want to win perfectly each time. And I think a lot of the fun, especially in the Paradox style games, is in dealing with a bad situation. You know, they've got these asymmetric starts. I mean, a perfect example here, right? We've got the antithesis of our species with the Ontuak protectors, and
system survey complete.
Like, they completely outclass us in every single way. You know, life's not fair. So, you know, we do the best we can with the start that we were given. While in command of the first Star Hunters, Admiral Zakodlis has learned to carefully nurse her supplies to significantly reduce ship operating costs across the board. And as a consequence, we pay less. Ship upkeep minus 10%, which is great. Of course, I have everything in just one big fleet. I'll admit, because I haven't done a lot of combat in this game, I think I'm probably a little inefficient in terms of how I make war. But there's really only one way to learn that, right? You go in, you make your mistakes, and you see how it goes. Now, again, we are research oriented, but I always do like going into the log, especially with this one where it's a mere 60. We always get that in 1 month, so we're never really worried about that. Yeah, we've got time for another
project complete.
Okay. First contact with the Curator Alpha Enclave. Greetings, Star Travelers. We are the Curators. Our ancient order was established eons ago by various galactic powers and ascendancy at the time. We are dedicated towards the preservation of all knowledge in an effort to safeguard the galaxy from descending into yet another dark age of mass extinctions and barbarism. We failed. Few of us remain today, but we are no less committed to our sacred mission that our predecessors were. We are willing to share some of our knowledge with you for a price. Well met. What is their price? Alright. Can offer detailed, up-to-date survey data for star systems you have yet to explore. How many are you interested in? Well, we've got a big surplus, so let's just go for the 15. Let's make another deal. We finally found a use for those energy credits. Tell us about the mysteries of the universe. There are exceedingly powerful entities lurking within certain star systems in our galaxy. At great cost in both lives and resources, Curator agents have painstakingly gathered knowledge that should make these beings easier to deal with the next time you encounter them. Tell us something we don't know.
Situation log updated.
Interesting. Okay. So it's another free... it is the Curator's business to know things. We may buy information, but it is up to us to make something of their knowledge. So where is this thing on the map? Alright. I believe these may be rivals. So we'll just hold off for a little while on that. I'm not gonna waste too much on them, but I sort of want to see what these options are. This is an addition, by the way, in the with the new update 4. I've not done any terraforming cultivar. Last night we got the... Not last night, last week. We got the ability to terraform, but we've been focusing a little bit more on maintaining our existing planets. Let's take a look at research. Of course, we are prepared to offer you limited access to our extensive data banks for a period of 10 standard years. This should provide a significant boost to the research efforts of your scientists. We require compensation for this service naturally, but I think you'll find that our prices are very reasonable. Interesting. So for 1,000 energy credits, we gain 10 years. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? So we've got 50 energy per turn. Now, I mean, this is assuming that I don't have something that will reduce my energy output. But in this case here, right, we've got, what is it, 1,100 energy that we're generating a year. And then over 10 years, we're going to be generating over 10,000 energy. So that's, you know, a fraction of my output. This is a very good deal. Okay, that's good to know, Cultivar, because there's actually a couple of planets that I have which are not that habitable to my people. Okay, I think we said we were going to be building some ships, right? I've maxed out my existing fleet capacity, so we do one more Federation destroyer, and then we start thinking about giving the galaxy some freedom. I suppose I can start building up some armies too. So on Hizzle, oh, our chief executive officer died. So I will abstain as I normally do. We have fleet expansion, which we don't really need right now. Science Officer Zaz reports his findings about the immense ring in the world Bardigan, in the Bardigan system. He can barely contain his awe. The immensity of the rings are beyond our comprehension. The time required to construct even one of the sections are far beyond us. The scans reveal a rare new resource we've never encountered before, a living metal which is abundant on the rings. This material might be one of the reasons the ring's creators could construct it in the first place. Research in this technology might bring us closer to their knowledge. Amazing. And we have gained the research option. So I believe my preferred candidate would probably be Zidlaxi. Potentially also Zirglis, just because of the defense stations, but it's not necessary. It's not assured that I would actually take advantage of that. But I don't really think it's worth spending just a little under half of my influence in order to push some of these over. So we'll just abstain. We've got a 50% chance of a scientific leap, which is tempting. And we gained it. Actually, this is exactly the guy that we wanted, so we're good. Appropriate music for a new generation. Alright, so we need a new governor on Rothak. And our options are agrarian upbringing. Well, that's our capital. I actually think in this case we'll go for adaptable with the higher experience gain. It's not really an ideal character to have on my capital, but I'm actually quite happy with all my other leaders, so I'm not gonna do another reshuffle. Now, one thing I want to do is see if I can use some of the... Oh my god, they're dropping like flies. Scientist Cathowix has died at age 78. Ah, so this is society research. Well, what are we researching right now? Military theory. So do I have any military... I felt like we actually had some military theorists. It appears that we do not, though, so... So, I've got a nice young field manipulator. The other two, yeah, I mean, this guy's young by a decade at least, so... Let's see if we can come up with a slightly better research pattern. Not really. So it's a little bit of bad luck because this is one of my more intensive... researches, but it's, I don't know, I don't really think it's worth kind of throwing everything into upheaval over, so Zaz has gained a level. I believe that's the one who's doing the exploration, though, not the guy I just assigned. All right. I think we'll do Gale Speed just because Evasion is a good damage mitigation one. Even though he's 50, I think it's a decent call. Let's see what I can do as far as... Alright, so I'll get an invasion fleet sort of prep just in case. What are we looking at for armies? Kind of expensive. Actually, you know what? I think every planet I'll just do half and half. So we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I guess it'll be 5 defense, 4 attack. Hello, Captain Bear. Oh, war's coming. Don't worry. You know, I actually don't even really need to wait for armies to finish because there's more we can do about this. So, first of all, they are now listed as superior due to their naval capacity. That's not going to get any better though, so... And I have a big faction to back me up, so... The day when judgment will be passed on you grows ever closer. Well, my friends, that sounds like fighting words. So... I'm curious what happens with Seed Planet. Our war philosophy does not allow... Yeah, so... We want to be liberating Lancord and Karat. So it's actually a fairly high war cost already. The ideal would be if I can actually cut this empire down to size. Looks like all of these are relatively expensive. We could try G. Well, let's see what happens if we give this to the United Nations of Earth. Yeah, we need... I think we're just gonna go for... some modest goals. Ah! And we can actually force some... Now we're going for the expensive stuff. And who... I'm actually okay not being able to navigate these. So we're basically going all in on this, but Johnny Big Time, sorry, I didn't see your host come in. We're about to go to war. Guys, Johnny Big Time is another wonderful caster. So he was doing Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, which was absolutely mental. I loved watching him play that game so much. Johnny Big Time is a very gifted caster, a little bit like Elkanu in the sense that he's got a great sense of humor, got a great sense of sort of comic timing and the ability to find the fun in just about anything. Johnny Big Time can smack talk a game like nobody's business, and he's got a really, really good sense of... so he's got a really good taste of games. 89%, huh? You know what? We're doing it. We've got 2 allies, so... The League of Seklokar Provinces wishes to declare war. I'm voting yes. Let's see whether or not the Federation agrees. It begins, my friends. But yeah, Johnny Big Time's an outstanding caster, really good friend of this cast's. He's always a fun to have inside. He's always a lot of fun to have inside of the chat. Super supportive of me, even when I'm playing more strategy-style games here. I finally got a chance to give him the Dark Souls that he's craved so much. It's one of my favorite things that I saw him play, so turnabout is fair play. And definitely a guy who has not just been a good participant in this community, but has really shaped the kind of content that we're putting on. I always feel good when Johnny's in the cast, just because I know I'm among friends. So... Hey, Captain Bear. I haven't actually played PlanetSide 2, so I don't know. I don't know the experience. Actually, you know what? It occurred to me. So I keep saying I was kind of sucky that night, but then it did occur to me that I did get the Executioner on the second try without help. So maybe I should give myself a little more credit here. The Glorious Concord war declaration vote has passed, and we are now at war with the Pelix Credonian Galactic Union. Now it's likely that they're going to call in their friends. Yes, they are. So let's see. Let's see. What I want to do right now is get a pretty quick end to this conflict. Can I merge them? Oh, see, that was a dumb thing then for me to that was a dumb thing for me to get two admirals then. Well, let's see what happens when I merge them. Sweet FA. All right. Well, let's go to the war target first of all. I don't understand why they're taking different paths. Now the big question mark that we have here is what the big question that we have here is what their military technology is. We don't have a good idea in terms of what their capacities are, but we'll see what we can do on this. First contact with the Norilja Vestige. Pitiful creatures, know that we have roamed the stars for eons before your hapless species mastered space flight. If any of your wretched little ships cross into our space, do not expect to see them return. Okay, extreme xenophobes. Who is blah? This is blah speaking. Alright. Ah, now this makes things interesting. I believe these guys are probably pretty tough. Yep, they are also overwhelming. So yeah, we've got some big badasses who are ready to crush us on the western side of the map. It's why we have friends. At last, this war will be the beginning of the end of your pitiful nation, Seklakar. Alright. Oh, Johnny Big Time, the next species I make are genocidal maniacs who look cute as a button. Mark my words. So this is risky. So keep in mind, right, we're starting a war only so that we can achieve a scientific objective. In the end, we're not really going to cut these guys down too much. So it's entirely possible this is actually a game loser for me. Because again, my allies... Oh, here. We've got a fight starting on there, so I want to see what's... I want to see what's up on this. What are they armed with? Looks like we don't have any good intel on that. I was hopeful. Ah, well, it's an assault class. Okay, so they do have deflectors, which is going to make life difficult for me. Unfortunately, I don't get to see what their weaponry is like. I also need to keep in mind that I need to keep building invasion fleets. So back on Hizzle. Oh, wait, was it Hizzle? Alright, well, we'll still equip them. This one I think actually will do just a pure defensive army. Alright, who did we lose? Physics scientist. I wanted to get the guy with Voidcraft experience, but honestly a 32-year-old with a high experience gain is a much better value for the money. Alright, this may not be a good strategic decision, but we're gonna watch my badass fleet fly towards the enemy. So you've got about 2,600 in attack value, military value, heading towards them, and it looks like there's another 1,000 that the humans are bringing in. I don't know about their strategy. Okay. Oh, that's ancient mining drones, so I'm not worried about those. What
Research complete.
we're hoping to do here is just push them into... I'm hoping to push them into a bit of a kind of a confrontation which will, you know, either I'm going to take the planet easily, or I get to take on one of their fleets, at which point I don't need to worry so much about... I can kind of do the invasions on my own time. Now, got some important decisions to make here. I could try nuclear missiles, and that will give me something that will go past deflectors. Unfortunately, this is going to be very low quality, and I don't think it's really worth all the effort for me to... I really don't think it's worth the effort for me to push that technology when we have other things. Carrier operations is a very tempting one, but I also want to see what the deal with this living metal is. So this inorganic metal shows characteristics usually seen only in biological life forms. It will always attempt to regenerate back into the shape that it was stabilized into. 5% armor and plus 2% monthly hull regeneration. These are many different strategic resources, usually uncovered by researching technologies. Having access to a particular strategic resource will usually grant you empire-wide bonuses. You only need to access a single unit of a strategic resource for its full benefits, so excess units can be freely traded away. Alright. I think 145 months is a very long time for me to set aside my research capabilities, especially in the middle of a war, so we're going to do carrier operations instead. These are the guys with a short lifespan. There's no set period. Let me see if I can find one of my more elderly leaders. It'll always be probabilistic. So this guy's 32. In this case, 0% chance of death unless they're on like a, you know, on a ship and something happens to them. Age is under 57. So let's see if we can find somebody. So we've got a 75-year-old. Death chance is 0% monthly? That doesn't make sense. Because so this guy's got the resilient ability. So in this case, at 82, he's going to start getting probabilities of death. Looks like we're sort of... We're past the last generation dying out. Sobak we also got lucky, so his age is 102 for dying. So this guy's been with us a really long time and been cranking out a lot of really good research. So I'm happy to have him. But yeah, in this case, basically, there's a chance that people start dying at age 57, but it's a little bit like, you know, it's like an average age, right? Like if you have a parent and like they're getting close to 75 or something like that, the life expectancy, it's not like everybody starts preparing for the end. It's like that number is what it is because, you know, there are some people who die a lot earlier. And then there are also people who, you know, live to be 100. And, you know, when you look at a summary statistic like that, it doesn't say anything about their social status or their, you know, economic circumstances or anything like that. Wow. So this relatively weak fleet is actually going to arrive first. Well, that's fine. We'll see what we're up against. Looks like there are some defenses, and I believe this is a transport fleet. So I don't actually want to engage this yet because I need to make sure I'm prepared, but I do also want to make sure that they don't get any crazy ideas. Also, what's going on here? Why is this hostile? Must be a bug. I should be careful on that. Just because it's unexpected does not mean it's a bug. Again, I'd love to do something about this, but I have a feeling engaging the one necessitates... Well, you know what? My buddies are going to be here soon, so let's see what we can do about this. Probably a little late.
Research complete.
More research. Okay, we've got cold fusion power, so let's see what physics will give us. We've got UV lasers. These are actually pretty tempting at this point. We can also boost our storage capacity. Oh, do I get to see what these things are equipped with yet? No, of course not. I do like the idea of a power plant 3, but we're sort of at our maxes. Actually, we're paying quite a bit for something. I'm not too worried about it. I think I'm going to go for the UV laser just because it gives me a little bit of an edge on weaponry. And it's going to...
System survey complete.
Yeah, we lost it. Alright, well, we're going to hold off for a second. Wait till our allies arrive. Any minute now.
Hostile
There we
fleet
go.
engaged.
Oh wow, he got right into that, huh? Alright, that's gonna make things a little tricky. Let's watch the fireworks.
Hostile fleet engaged.
Unfortunately, this is going to punch some holes in terms of our units. I have a feeling we're going to lose at least one or two to this attack. Yeah, so that's 2 destroyers we just lost. Although I think I can probably replace it with a cruiser now. Alright, so the big question is, do I double down or do I begin a siege on this planet? In this case, we're actually going to start a siege on Karat. And the main reason for that... Alright, ground support. And we're actually going to get a little intense in terms of our bombardment there because we want to end this relatively quickly. So I'm going to take the opportunity to have these guys recharge their shields. I don't have a good idea in terms of what my enemies have weapon-wise yet. Actually, they've also got energy weapons, which is a little bit of good news for me. So we've lost 1 Corvette, 2 destroyers. I think I'm going to replace that with a cruiser. Apparently we've got kinetic weapons, which surprised me. I don't think there's anything I can do to my fleets right now to improve them. So we're going to let everybody's shields charge up. We're going to start bombarding the enemy. And we're also going to take a quick look at what these fleets are. So transport fleets, the Vengeful Plumage, which has got medium disruptors. So these guys are going to be ripping apart our shields, it looks like. And they're... Okay, so this is... a human science ship. They've got 59 corvettes and 13 destroyers with a big set of assaults. Okay, so this is a 31k this is actually a 31k attack fleet. This is something I need to be pretty worried about. Fortunately though, we've got 1288 for humans, so as long as they can drag things out, I want to see where these guys are heading. Hang on, this is 7.1k. There's the 3.1k. Okay. So I sort of want to see where these guys are heading. And if they head towards Barink, then I'm going to take my fleet and move. I mean, I should actually move in on it as is. it's just really good to smack down the planetary fortifications. All right. Let's just take a quick look and see what's happening with this fleet.
Anomaly found.
Always research anomalies. Okay. It looks like the humans are also on their way out of there, so... Nope, they're heading straight towards them, so we will assist our allies, but we're going to arrive very late, so... With any luck, we'll maybe be able to... If my human allies suffer defeat... It looks like they effed off. And I'd rather not face that on my own, so... And actually, where's my closest science ship? I think I want to start researching there. Alright, they're doing an anomaly, but afterwards... I want to make sure that I'm catching these guys in an unfair fight, basically. The good news is the more that they waste their time on the humans here, the more I'm able to take the objective of the war, which means we're in a better shape as far as taking on or like getting that war score up. I just want to be careful that that fleet doesn't suddenly show up on my home planet or something. Okay, at least it's prime. You know what? I think I'm actually just going to go full defense on all of my planets but one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wow, that's a lot more than I... Okay. Jap. It's getting prepared just in case something bad happens. And in the meantime, we're putting some pressure on Karat. The planetary fortifications are falling, so... Oh yes, I'm actually being a little reckless too, so... Oh, well, I already spent all the money, but I was going to build another cruiser to make up for my lost ship. This is a bit of a lesson too in terms of how long it takes me to recover from certain decisions. Notice that because this already moved over, it's taking a while to get this back in the system. Immense ragged plains of shadow drift across Churasak 6's face. They are cast not by clouds but by sheet of organic material drifting through the upper layers of the atmosphere, hinged, or rather jointed, to allow for a small degree of articulation. Science Officer Krothixar is as yet unwilling to say whether these things are flora or fauna, or what possible purpose, if any, their elaborate shadow casting might serve. So we don't have anything for that yet. I have a feeling that I might actually wind up engaging with combat with this thing. Yep, looks like we got lucky.
Research complete.
Ah, these are my allies, so we've got some research done. Okay, great. So we've got some more... got a fleet academy, and if I want, I can bring in an edict to sort of give sort of an emergency boost to my fleets, which is a little tempting, to be honest. I think in this case, naval warfare. I don't have a good motivation for it, but I'm not worried about ship upgrade costs. I'm relatively wealthy. Resettlement cost I'm not doing a whole lot on. The only thing I could maybe think of would be an energy siphon, but... Oh god, what am I doing? Alright. I had... Yep, they're on their way. And it looks like my allies are actually being good and providing an invasion fleet for me. Nope, looks like they're completely bypassing the planet. Alright then. I think I'll make an assaulting army on my own then and get to work. Recruitment of armies has been completed on Rothak. Let's get our cruiser built before we go anywhere else. The reason I want to build that cruiser is if the 3,000 point enemy fleet suddenly shows up, I want to be ready. Because it's possible that's not the only thing they have in reserve. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to lighten up the ground support for a bit. This is just because we more or less subdued the planet. Hey Cap Howdy, good to see you. How are you doing? Guys, Cap Howdy is another streamer. So we've had a few. I don't get a chance to watch him as often because I've moved from sort of the original area where I would watch him. And it's sort of translated into a very late bedtime for me if I get a chance to watch him. But he doesn't really, I can't really say he's a classic game player, although some of my more favorite moments from his stream have actually been classic games. But you know what? I'm gonna break. So how much do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I'm gonna do my assault army just so I can bring this this fight to a close. I'm not sure if it was a smart or a very foolish decision to be so aggressive in my war demands. It's smart because it means I'm going to need basically a total victory over them, which means more or less dismembering their fleet. But it potentially also means that I'm not actually able to achieve my war goals. How are you doing, Vikings World? Alright, so we've bombed the crap out of this planet. I think we'll just do a slight detour and take on this starport. We are going to lose some troops, unfortunately. But until I get my assault armies ready, not much I can do, and I'm going to be
System survey complete.
rebuilding my
Hostile fleet engaged.
my mineral resources. $20 on Harambe socks. Jesus Christ. Let's get a good close view of the combat. So much light. Such a pretty game, isn't it?
Situation log updated.
Alright, what did we lose? Absolutely nothing. Oh, nope, nope. We lost 3 destroyers from the Federation fleet. Good to know. Okay, well, we're gonna do a little light bombing on Landcourt then. Okay, so it looks like Karat is actually currently being invaded by my allies, which is good news. Normally I would want to, or I think it is. Let's take one of my fleets and give him a hand. Alright, I've got an attack fleet of my own ready to go, so let's go to my capital. This is indeed, so it's by the same... I shouldn't have taken away one of those, it's by the same company, Paradox. They as you say, best known for Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings. There's a couple of key differences between the two games in my view. One of the big changes here is it's very exploration focused. Obviously, we don't have history. We don't have sort of the what if or the counterfactuals or any kind of spine. Trade deal expired. Okay, I'm going to need to do something about that with Earth. But instead what it's given us is more recruitment. Oh, it's just the defense. Hey, Lumpy Space, only stopping in. Gotta get some sleep. Wanted to say hello. Understand completely, Lumpy Space. I'm probably not going to be casting very late myself, but we've got a war underway, so which we've done a passable job of prosecuting. I've never played Galactic Civilizations. But so far as, hang on, the Sovereign Pobelian Directorate has made peace with the... So don't believe either of these are my people. You may be familiar with the Paradox titles, but you're not the only person in chat. So usually when somebody asks a question regarding the content of a game, I like to give a bit of a history in terms of the developer. They were kind enough to give me a copy of the game, so I figure at the very least I can communicate who they are, what they do, and where people can find it. Alright. Independence guaranteed. So this is all stuff that's sort of independent of my own civilization. I am really bothered by the fact that I have not seen this 3K fleet. However, we've done a very good job of taking over their territories, it looks like. Or maybe the colors are just getting screwed up. Federation invitation. Pobelian Commonwealth. Oh, okay, so there's a rival faction forming. And they're militaristic, it looks like. So this is actually something we may need to be watching for. They've definitely got a lot more capacity for some fleets now. I guess the good news is this is all happening in the northern part of the map. And I think they're relatively weak compared to me. Let's just take a quick look. Yeah, equivalent and inferior technology, so we shouldn't have too much difficulty with them. But probably something to keep an eye on. Okay, I've been neglecting my empire. Welcome back, Johnny Big Time. I need to make some tough decisions here. So we're good for food. I suppose the real question is, you know what? I think I'm still gonna go for science. I may not make that decision for these other areas, though. I can afford to consume some of these areas with food just because we've got a surplus, and even though we have 3 to finish, it's not going to take that much. Also, should cancel that. What's next in the queue? Sorry, I just want to make sure that this is the first thing. No, this isn't. So the order kind of matters. I want to make sure that I deal with my unemployment first, and then I can upgrade my existing buildings. I don't want to do any more improvements just because I do still need to rebuild my fleet. Thank you, Terminator. I'm hoping that I actually run into a Leviathan before... before I run out of references, but the last 3 casts actually we've had biblical references. Yeah, Johnny Victor. I mean, it's funny too. I notice I'm able to sort of gauge how invested I am in terms of this little story that I'm telling, because I actually, for some of them, I actually feel bad. That I'm, you know, that they're unemployed, that I'm not helping. Whereas, in let's say another game, you know, I would maybe be, I don't know if I'd be indifferent, but like it's more like, oh God, the resources aren't being used efficiently or something like that. So. How close are we to this invasion fleet? Not really close, unfortunately. I mean, I might want to just do a premature invasion and get it out of the way. What are their defense? Oh, this is actually pretty heavily defended, so...
Analyzed.
What have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. It looks like I can actually afford more attackers. Okay, well these guys are going to be enough to take the one planet, so let's get my cruiser built first. So that's going to take me up to 41. I think I'll just toss in another Corvette for free. Well, not for free, but following that, I need to spend the resources on my invasion fleets, but I'll have a little bit of time to work on that. Oh god, my science ship is idle. Do I have the... Okay, here's a better idea. Good God. Research project system. Okay. So yeah, the idea here is that we'll first do our invasion on Karat. Oh, actually, you know what? This is silly. I didn't even need to make this more complicated. I could have actually just done the research on this planet if I had a good enough scientist. I don't think he's gonna have enough to take it, to be honest. But if nothing else, we can finish this. We can sort of finish this mission. So let's...
Research complete.
I think we're gonna revisit these war goals once I actually take one of these planets. Alright, more naval capacity, so I might want to reconsider... Habitability is good. I'm gonna go for the energy siphon just so it gives me the option. I kind of feel like I have to go with Durasteel at this point. I've committed to war, so. Okay, so what are my skills? Okay, I'm gonna pull Zaz. If this existing science ship isn't able to get what it needs, I'm gonna pull Zaz and
Research complete.
and get this research done. If we have to take it to a stalemate, so be it. Edict map to the stars, and we get a research ooh, that's actually really tempting. And it's purple. And this special resource, shield hit points, is also pretty cool. So we actually have a guy who's good at researching this thing. But this is purple. What do my existing shields give me? Sorry guys, I know I'm just thinking to myself a whole lot on this, but... So 60 for a medium compared to 90. Let's go for the global research. This war won't go on forever, so...
System survey complete. Construction complete. Debris analyzed.
Okay. Looks like it's already merging with the existing fleet, which is good news. This rival federation is definitely picking up speed. These guys are not, unfortunately, not leveling up fast enough, so... What is this tour doing? Okay, so these guys go to BOY. I'm a little scared to actually put them so close to the enemy, but... Let's see them make the most of it. I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, so I have got another 4. I could actually do yet another cruiser. What's the destroyer looking at? So 33% evasion versus... Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to go for a destroyer. Hang on. What's this composition looking like? Okay, 1, 7, 14. Ah, screw it. You know what? I can afford the other cruiser. I'm not going to do any more after that, but... I'm kind of looking for some power. And still no sign of the enemy. Alright, Rothak's got its invasion fleet, so what we're gonna do now... we're actually gonna recruit one more. There's a way that I can build an invasion fleet, and I never remember how. Bark off. There we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that can actually take... can take everything I need. It's gonna be a little hairy getting them there, but let's go for it. So we're obviously gonna... Ah, here we go.
Evading hostile fleet.
So this is gonna get a little hairy, I think. They are... This looks like they're primarily... I'm actually really interested to see how this fight works. Because this is a very heavy shield damage. And not so good on the hulls. They do have a little bit of a drop on us. But we have... Actually, we're outgunned. Crap. I think we should just back the hell off.
Hostile fleet engaged.
Nope, too late. Let's make the most of it.
System survey complete. Evading hostile fleet.
Let's see if they can do the research in the time that it takes. So these guys are gonna get...
Engaged.
Yeah, these guys are gonna get pulverized, and there's gonna be nothing that these guys can do in reply. This is actually gonna... I think this is gonna turn out to be a disaster for us. They're completely disorganized for this kind of fight.
Hostile fleet engaged.
The worst thing about this is I don't have the resources for... Okay. Let's run.
Evading hostile fleet.
I think what we do here... So we've got 18 days before emergency FTL, and I think we lose this other fleet. A lot of exposed hulls there, but I just don't see how... I just don't see how we make these numbers work for us. Yeah, we're getting completely cut down. I think we gotta run on this one when we can. Build up what we can.
Situation log updated.
Yeah. That was a very, very poorly thought out strategy. So the worst thing about this is I actually have the firepower to be able to take these guys on if I'm organized. And unfortunately, I wasn't thinking at all and we paid pretty heavily for that. So we're going to run back. We are going to lick our wounds. First thing I need to do is see where we're sitting fleet-wise once I've repaired everything. Yeah, absolutely, Johnny, big time. So basically, problem number one was I let them get the drop on me with my weak fleet on Caracat. And the worst thing is that there were no planetary defenses for me to be bombarding there. So I had no strategic reason to be there. And they were able to chew up the Federation fleet before these guys even could respond, which meant that they had a full 1K over my existing fleet. So the difference here is that it did turn out that we were outgunned anyway, but I made a bad situation worse purely by the fact that I let my fleet be cut in half, and then rather than recognizing the bad situation that I was in and cutting my losses, I actually committed to that fight, which I couldn't win, and I believe they got by with very few casualties of their own, where most of my fleet has been decimated at this point. Now the good news is I do have a pretty strong economy, so it's going to be tough, right? They've completely evened out this war, which we were originally winning. I don't have the benefit of this strategic goal, which we were looking for. But hopefully the humans have been able to take advantage of the situation. I have a feeling if I ask for... Yeah. We're gonna have to draw this out for a while. Okay, so my guys are home. We can assess the damage. Quite a few lost ships. Fortunately, though,
Research complete.
we are going to be upgrading them when they get back. I don't think I have any noxious swamps to get rid of. I do not. I also need to keep an eye on my potentially unemployed populations, but I have a few other priorities at the moment. So, let's start with army upkeep, because we're actually going to need to be working on that. Let's get my transport fleet back home. So we're not completely out of the game yet. But I'm going to need to be very careful with what I do the next little while. I'm going to try and be cheeky and get... Ah, damn it! They're rebuilding it. I actually think I want to go in... I think I want to take a hit on this thing. So I'm going to be cheeky and actually try to do this research project before they get that thing built. Okay, so the third star hunters are good. I definitely did need to decide on the composition of my fleet again.
Construction complete.
This thing's getting built faster than I want it to. Okay, so first thing we do, we need to upgrade all of our ships. Repair and upgrade all of our ships. We've got 2 cruisers, we upgrade at least 2 more destroyers, and maybe fill out the rest with corvettes? We'll see. Well, I'm actually definitely going to need at least 2 more destroyers, so I might as well start building those now. I also need to boost up my Federation fleet if I can. And it looks like we're actually getting... We're getting hammered on scores. I am not at all happy with how slow this is going. I don't think this is going to be able to cause it any problems though, so...
Ships upgraded. Construction complete.
Okay, so we've got our destroyers.
Research complete.
Alright, looks like they're coming to murder my research vessel. And they're up to 2.5k strength now, which is rather important. I think we just go for further naval capacity. There doesn't really seem to be an option here. So we gotta get out of here. And we were only able to get 35% of the... This thing's dead.
Science ship under attack.
Alright, well, that was just a stupid move following a stupid move, so I won't actually build another science ship yet, because I need to put those resources towards making war. I believe they're going to be
complete.
trying to recover this planet, which, yeah, that's currently occupied by our friends. So this is actually going to be a really big hit to our war score in a little bit. But I kind of got to just take that on the chin and wait for my guys to get up to full strength again. So that was sort of why I was... what might have seemed to be overreacting to that particular fight. It's not so much the worry... I don't understand why this is jumping between 2 systems like this. It's not so much that initial fight that was the problem so much as these knock-on effects of the fact that a lot of my war score right now is relying on the fact that we've occupied this planet. I didn't really make them pay with any ships.
Complete.
It's all corvettes there. That's really interesting, actually. So I guess the big question is, do I go cruisers or do I go destroyers in the face of that? Yeah, so now we're at negative 17. Now I'm really interested to see where these guys go next. looks like the human fleets are actually not too strong themselves. A lot of transport fleets, but this is the other thing too, is it's one thing to have a big, big navy with your federation, but if you can't get any coordination between them, it's as good as having just yourself in the fight. That's fine. We'll make the best of what we've got.
Research complete.
So we'll merge what we can. Alright. Can do a warp drive too, but I don't believe this gives me any evasion. It does give me the mobility benefit, which is, it's not to be ignored. Survey speed's also sort of tempting, but this does seem to be... And this also improves the survey speed. Yeah, we'll do the curator. Yeah, Zodisai, I mean, a game like this, you kind of need to just go in and take a crack at it. I will say this is probably one of the more forgiving Paradox titles to get into originally. I would say maybe if it's a big appeal to you to be able to make your own species, I would encourage you to do it. But if it's not key to you that you be able to do that, then I would suggest using one of the pre-built ones just so you can sort of get down the mechanics. There's always going to be another opportunity to roll a new one. Let's try merging. Then we'll do an upgrade, and then we'll see where we sit strength-wise. We're already looking somewhat respectable here. Trying to find out what these special travel... Yeah, so... the simplest way I can explain that trade-off is it's the trade-off between speed and flexibility. So... if you have dedicated warp lines, I wouldn't be able to say go directly to BOI or something like that. But it's a relatively faster method of travel. Of course, the drawback is if your only path is through something that you don't have open borders with, you're actually in some trouble. Another way of looking at this would be to say... How many destroyers do I have? Got 7 now. I think I'm going to build a few more, and then we're going to build a lot more corvettes. Because I still believe my technology is superior.
Ships upgraded. System survey complete.
So yeah, okay. So we've got 3 cruisers, 7 destroyers, 6 corvettes, and these kind of pocket of raiders. So I definitely need to build like a lot more corvettes. I could also probably rebuild my ships to make them a little bit more... Well, no, I can't really rebuild my ships. Let's go for the spaceport. Just throw out as many corvettes as we can. Alright, so I'll have... but yeah, so I would probably recommend...
Hostile fleet.
I believe it says there's one that's like good for beginners. I would recommend that you go for that one. If you go for sort of like the hyperspace lanes, you're looking at something that's a little more like endless space, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Evading hostile fleet.
And if you... How do I put this? I think if you go for the hyper gates, that's a slight. I mean, it's not an impossible mechanic to learn. There's nothing in this game that's like so mind-mangling that you can't you can't work your way through it. But the big thing is that if you don't sort of pace out where your
Construction complete.
if you don't pace out like where you pick your battles in terms of learning, then everything's like it's gonna seem like everything is overwhelming, and then you're not like you make your progress through sort of like these incremental jumps rather than just you sit down and you've mastered Solaris at the start. So if you start off with like the hyperspace that I'm using, you don't need to think too much about transportation, and then you can just focus on other aspects of the game. But again, as with most things, like if you just want to focus on hyperspace for your first round, nobody's gonna stop you, right? It's ultimately up to you to decide what's the most fun. Okay. So I've got 8 points to spend. Can build 8 Corvettes. Or I could build 4 destroyers. I think I'm just going to go for the same composition for the fleet again. I think it was the fact that I let myself get split up that was the bigger problem. It's going to take a long time, though.
Construction complete.
Basically, yeah. Hey, Stalker. Sorry I didn't see you there. I was thinking a little bit. This is a tough one for me because I don't know this game well enough. I'm just gonna let the election go by normally.
Construction complete.
All right, so need a new governor. So normally in like Crusader Kings, I sort of know what the strategy is going to be for, to recover. This one, it's a little less obvious because I'm not as familiar with the game. We haven't lost the war yet. There's actually definitely some ways that we can push it to our advantage, but I have a feeling what's going to happen is that my allies are going to sort of bleed out a bunch of war score. And I'm going to need to be a little bit smarter in terms of how I do things. So I think it really comes down to seeing how long we can hold them off from any serious invasions before we sort of launch a counterattack. Not a lot to do science-wise. I don't want to go to BOI again until I have a fleet to defend them. That's in enemy space. So I actually don't have a lot for my science ship to do at the moment. In this case, I think I'll just put them on a friendly planet. Well, no, you know what? That's selling myself a little short. I am going to go work on these other regions. I definitely need to make sure that I'm constantly churning out ships, though. The real killer is going to be trying to get that Federation fleet back. I definitely don't have the budget for that. It's just 2 more Corvettes.
System survey complete.
Let's go one of these, one of these. Again, don't want to get too exotic in terms of my surveys, but I also want to kind of continue to push forward science. I'll abandon all of these and head straight to BOI as soon as I can, though.
Construction complete.
Alright, one more Corvette. And what I might do is I might actually poke in and harass these troop transports. The really nice thing about that... Where did my Federation fleet go? Oh, interesting. So Drul Profen just took the fleet. Okay, that actually changes the equation quite a bit. I may not be able to win this war now because the AI is controlling... Well, let's hit them early and we'll hit them hard. The Corvette can catch up. We've detected the presence of a primitive alien civilization on Zazib Krak, the Yuskissan system. They appear to be in the later stages of the Bronze Age, having mastered early metalworking. Although their population is rural, several large city-states have formed. We should consider building an observation post above their world to study them more carefully. Well, I would if I could. I think the next trick is going to be once I get close... Okay. So we're going to start an attack on this fleet. We're actually going to move the transport fleet in right away. Or at least enter orbit. And once we have... once we've established a location, we're actually going to move the science ship in to start doing some research. Hello, Helix. And I think this is the make or break one, because I know their full strength is 2.5k. I'm mostly sort of hoping to accomplish a little bit of an objective. I'm also curious if I can talk with my allies about... Yeah, we just don't have any... We don't have any way of coordinating, which is a big problem. Okay. So what I need to do with my science ship now, if I'm going to be able to take advantage of this research, I have to do it while the fight's going on.
Hostile fleet engaged.
There we go. Now, if I get any indication that there's a fight that these guys can't take on, I need to get out of there. But what this is going to do is it's going to just completely neuter their capacity for invasions. I have not. Guess we can try and get in a little closer to see this magnificent space battle. So it turns out my fleet is very good against unarmed transport ships. So my troop transports arrived a lot earlier than I was planning. But we're going to start bombarding almost immediately. Alright, now... Unfortunately, our illustrious leader has decided to engage a 3k strength fleet with a 1.2k strength fleet, and I'm not going to be able to get there in time to help him out. We're going to run into the exact same problem that we had last time. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this fight as an opportunity to I'm going to use this fight as an opportunity to get a little research done, to get an invasion done, and maybe we'll even try shooting down
Situation log updated.
this space station, but until I actually can build a fleet that can take on theirs, there's no point in me actually taking that full fight. So... if nothing else, hopefully we get our science done. If we can do more, that's great. But I have a feeling that that 3k fleet is going to be heading towards me pretty soon.
Research complete.
Okay, so the Durasteel armor is good. I think it's pretty obvious I'm going to do this fleet to get the battleship. Because with my current fleet capacity... Actually, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break my fleet capacity. What am I going to get? I wish they gave me the combat rating of these things. So 238, oh man, I need like 5 more cruisers to be able to... Destroyers are 65. Corvettes are 44. Well, I mean, this is a way of thinking about this. Let's try and figure out what this is worth. Per use of naval capacity. Sorry guys, this isn't a very good Stellaris stream tonight. I'm still wrapping my head around combat. Okay, so we get 238.25. Divided by 4. So we're about 60. I'm pretty sure the cruisers, yeah, so it's cruisers and corvettes actually that wind up being the best military power per naval capacity used. Let's build a new one. I have a feeling we're going to need to run away really quickly. We'll see if we can drag this thing out. It's like pockets of humans moving in to their borders, but I have a feeling that they're gonna defend BOI, especially because it's the war goal. If I can take it, I get a pretty big boost. You know, the other possibility is I get my science done, and I get a white piece. Okay, it's a transport fleet. I need ships, though. So I think here we're actually okay to do an invasion. I'm committing myself a lot more to this fight than I really want to be, but... yeah, here we go. And I think we're actually engaged. Realistically, we're 41% done. They're all destroyers and corvettes. See, I know I'm gonna lose this. Okay, I'm gonna do something really counterintuitive. I'm gonna move my fleet away, and I'm actually gonna leave the science ship.
Hostile fleet engaged.
Alright. It's kind of what I thought was going to happen. So I didn't want to abandon
Science
the
ship
whole...
under attack.
I didn't want to abandon the whole enterprise. That is a lot of damage we just took in a very short period of time. So I want to retreat as soon as I can. I don't think it's going to matter though. And it looks like my science ship's actually taking some damage. So they're probably not going to finish their job in time. Yeah, we just got decimated.
Hostile fleet engaged. Situation log updated. Construction complete.
Not good. They're gonna say no.
Enemy planet secured.
Oh well, I'm so glad that we that we secured the enemy planet. It won't be secured for long, unfortunately. So let's embark them all and go back home. Yeah, so there's basically no way to win this war unless we find some way of... oh god, please don't go there. Unless we can find a way of, like, massively outdoing our, Honestly, you know what? Screw my allies on this. I don't believe we're affected by that artificial intelligence ban. Yep, so that's just my allies that's affected by, which sucks for them, but too bad. They weren't good allies. Let's reconsider my position with my rivals. So I definitely don't want to be rivaling these guys who can harm me. And what I want to do is find somebody who is weaker than me to rival. Well, something close that we can rival. Well, you know what? So they're materialist. The Igrian commonalities have guaranteed independence. Ah, we're already rivals with them. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Now I eat crow, but I take advantage of my... They're not going to take it. Let's try to get open borders. Oh, interesting. Can I actually access their borders now?
Research complete.
All right. I think I'll briefly explain what I just did there. I'm sorry, I know this is a pretty weak Stellaris class cast tonight, and I think I just didn't get enough sleep, and I understood the mechanics sort of on paper, but I didn't implement the idea well. So go for the cheapest semi-young. Okay, interesting. So they can close borders to me, but I can't close borders to them. I'm curious if I can buy. Yeah, so I could empty my treasury and they wouldn't want to do that. Alright, well, we'll give them 100 for the effort. I actually somewhat regret building that science ship now. Fine gift, Seklokar, you have our thanks. Still don't like me. Oh yeah, you know what? This is never going to be a relationship that's repaired. So what I basically need to do is I need to wait until I am. Okay. It's 3 things I can think of. I need to improve my. I need to rebuild my fleet first. I need to ensure that I am the president of the Federation. And I actually think I'm going to go over my fleet capacity just to make sure that I can put the hurt on them. Roguelike Girl, thank you very much for that host. I've been kind of sucking a little bit tonight, both at the game but in terms of casting. So basically what happened here was, first of all, I got very greedy in terms of my war goals. What I should have done was just look to sort of liberate Beowai and move out from there. So I failed in that regard. Next thing I failed to do was I let my fleets get split. If I didn't make that one blunder, I believe I would have been able to fight off that super fleet that came to us, or at least I would have been able to sort of like dodge out and take advantage, but I didn't, and so we got hit again in that respect. The next thing that caused us some grief was our okay, we're back to our max resource storage. The next problem I've run into is the fact that I've more or less abandoned my my development. So we're actually going to fix that right now. We're going to do some basic science for the planets that have unemployment. This is just sort of to staunch the bleeding. And then we're going to think about upgrades. So Rothrak, we can upgrade here. Alright, I think we need more physics to even things out, so we'll head over here. I think similar idea. If I run out of money, that's okay, because I'm already working on improving things for my unemployed. Go physics again. And then the next step is going to be to start clearing out these, to start sort of balancing out where I'm at as far as food. So. That war. What I'm going to do next time, assuming that I can actually take these guys on, I'm going to focus entirely on Beowai to make sure that the war goal is achievable. I now know that I'm going to probably need to exceed my naval capacity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that I don't have a federation to be a part of. So fleet power and naval capacity are both higher. They weren't actually higher than me at the start of that war, so I let them get the better of me in that regard. But the real turning point was the fact that I let them catch me split on that planet, because my strategy was built around the fact that I had the Federation fleet to make me a little bit more powerful. And I failed to actually implement it, which was ultimately my undoing. All right. let's get these guys back to the capital. So I'm kind of curious, if I disband, does that mean that they cease to have this army? I don't really need the army right now. It'll... Yeah, so it looks like I just killed all my my troops. Fair enough. Alright, I got a new science ship which is not doing anything right now, so let's... Oh, actually, what I should be doing is spending my energy. So first of all, let's take a look at the artisan troop and see what they can do. If we commission an art piece, so they want minerals. I can say I can't afford that because I need it. But we can gain knowledge. So the Curator Enclave. There's exceedingly powerful entities lurking within certain star systems in our galaxy.
Situation log updated.
So it's our next mystery of the universe. They're all up here. Alright. I think we'll just purchase another 15 star systems. It's a nice cheap way of boosting our research. I'm gonna go in deep on this one. If I can sort of close off this this batch of exploration, I don't need to go back to this part of the galaxy again. Next thing I'm going to plan on is another colony ship. It's going to exceed my capacity here, but we need... I think we need a little more expansion. Actually, where can I take them? If I'm gonna make my move, I need to move to Charlotte now. And I think it's worth it. So, colony ship's gonna cost me 406. I need to wait 2 months for that. Alright, now this guy, the only things that I can be investigating are currently occupied by enemy units. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to fly sort of in between, we're going to fly in between these two enemies and see what's going on this side of the galaxy. And what I kind of want to do here is sort of take straight paths where I can. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm doing all the systems along this edge. And then we'll sort of see where we're sitting, and then I'll probably just go, again, back up on another line, back to another one. This is the sort of game you never need to own because you never leave your room again. They're good. I mean, they're a little tricky to get into sometimes. It's definitely not easy, and I mean, I made a pretty brutal mistake, which had it set me back by quite a bit in the game, unfortunately. But I don't know. It's really satisfying to sort of learn this stuff and and get better at it. Hey, Medicus Raid.
Construction complete. Special project complete.
After successfully translating their language, we have established communications with the independent space station of Curator Sigma Enclave. Well met, explorers. You are speaking with Curator Sigma Enclave. Perhaps you are already familiar with the tenets of our ancient order. Like our esteemed colleagues in the other Curator Enclaves, we are willing to trade providing that you can meet our rates. I like trade. Let's see what they'll do for us. I'm interested if I can actually get two... No, I cannot. Alright. It's a little expensive to do this, but let's buy another 15 star charts. I mostly want to see whether or not that opens up more mysteries of the universe. Alright. Let's just make sure I'm not investigating something. Okay, so I just gained a whole bunch of knowledge that I don't need anymore. Well, no, this will probably resolve itself. I actually found Hearts of Iron 4 quite enjoyable. It was a little counterintuitive having played some of the other games, but I think there's a lot in that game that's automated and makes it a bit more accessible than it seems to be on the surface. Let's go for pure colonists. Alright. Well, these guys are weak, so I don't need to worry too much about them. This is the fleet that was causing me so much trouble. So right now, I want to make sure that I have at least 3,500 military power before I take these guys on. And ideally, it's actually going to be an unfair fight, that I have something like 4K backing up my words. But all in good time. We need to rebuild our fleet first. So in terms of what I did to my allies was really crappy. That's basically going to make sure that they stagnate for a little bit, and it's not necessarily ideal for me long term either, but the fact of the matter is that given their behavior in the war, it's quite apparent that I'm going to have a better time if I'm on my own than if I try to sort of manage things. We lost an admiral. Well, that's fine because we had one too many. So basically, because there wasn't really a lot of fleet coordination, it's not that big of a detriment that my allies are not as strong. What I want to do instead is basically make sure that if I can end the war and get myself to a point where I can rearm, that's going to put me in a better position to do that attack if I decide to do that in the end. Than say trying to
construction complete.
Trying to play nice and share some of the burden with my Federation members. Honestly, if I left the Federation, this would already boost my naval capacity quite a bit. I just don't think in the end it will actually be that helpful with my relations with the United Nations of Earth.
Complete.
Speaking of which, let's see if we can get some minerals out of this. I won't even agree to that, huh? I don't want to do that. Energy credits. Works for me. Alright, so they want something in return. So let's see if I can do some more deals, and let's go by people who like me the most. So these are guys are already in a federation.
Situation log updated.
We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Banthari system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Epsilon aliens. Until we can learn more about them, we should proceed with caution. Again, I have to sacrifice a little bit of social research for this, but this has always been good for gaining influence, so I want to keep on that. We're almost on our colony ship. But yeah, so what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and build some relationships in the form of trade deals. So it looks like they do like the idea of research agreements. I just need to give them a little something in return. Okay, they like my star charts. So I bet I can win them with some money. Okay, looks like they think that's useless. I don't really want to give up my star charts at this point, so give them a little something for their trouble. Oh wow, they just won't respond to energy at all, huh? Okay, it's a little more than I want to pay, to be honest. Ah, but they'll give me the star charts. That changes things by quite a bit. I'm willing to pay minerals. Because this is, remember, for 30 years, right? So 180 minerals to keep an active sensor link on the other side of the galaxy, that's actually not too bad of work. Alright. So this Theocratic Republic, again, I would say unlikely that we get along, but we are individualists, so it's not crazy that this is the case. Let's offer a trade deal. Again, if we can get the research agreement, so much the better. I want access to their star charts and sensors if I can. And they're probably not going to be responsive to energy. Nope. So can I win them with minerals? It's a very costly arrangement if I do. Okay, so instead I get them for a song. The Pebellan Commonwealth. Again, mostly at this point, I'm just trying to see what I can get away with these guys. Now, the nice thing here is that they really want access to my research, which I'm okay with, because it also gives me some access to theirs. Well, I'm kind of curious, how responsive are they to energy? Interesting. But I can't buy them outright. Okay. Out of everything, I'm most willing to give up research, so I'll just make sure that they make up for some of my losses mineral-wise. Interesting. Okay, well, let's take some energy as well. As you can see here, I'm basically just trying to really really milk this for what it's worth. Alright, so these guys are actually vassals. Why are they not allowed to? Yeah, but why is it negative? There's nothing else I want from them, so that's that. It's Despotic Empire. Oddly enough, we don't have as much in opposition as I thought we would. Okay, so research agreement's a non-starter. Don't want to give up star charts, don't want to give them access to my research if they don't return in kind. But I've got energy, and they need it, so... Now what I'm most interested in is what these negative... Ooh, nope, we do not want war. I'm sort of interested what I can get away with these kinds of guys, so... Definitely not getting research agreement. Again, I generate a lot of energy, so it's nothing for me to continue getting this. This is basically going to give me a pretty good view on the universe as these guys do some exploration. Again, I'm going to guess with research, yeah, they don't want to give up their technology if we're potential rivals. So I'm just going to see how far down here I can go and buy this stuff up for energy. I'm always going to keep an eye on what's going on there, because I don't have an infinite reserve, but I'm definitely erring on the side of a little too much energy generation without anything anything to show for it. So at least this is a way that I can sort of transfer. I can turn this slight advantage that I have into something a little more tangible. I mean, it's also possible that my relationships will be improved with these trade deals. This is going to be a particularly difficult one. These guys are not very fond of me. Alright, they don't want to give up Star Chart. They don't want to do anything, basically. And I'm not interested in kowtowing to them. So I think we've hit our limit in terms of what we can get away with negotiation. Yeah, so these charmers, yeah, they don't want to share. So I think it's going to be more of the same. Right, we've encountered some form of alien vessels in the Vsem-Clack system. These strange objects have been tagged as the Theta aliens. Until we can learn more about them, we should proceed with caution. Well, as usual, we translate these things. Oh, and we also have Ada. Oh yes, this is because we did all of these deals. So just to give you an idea of what that gave us, we've got a really good view on the universe. And if I'm so inclined, it gives me a little bit more of an idea for these mysteries of the universe. Gives me a clear idea in terms of what it's going to take. So both, one of these is held in the Banthurian, what is it, Confederation, and then this one looks like it's more in neutral space. So I'm on slightly more safer ground on that one. Yeah, I kind of feel like I got away with murder on these things. Alright, after successfully translating their language, we have established communications with the Ick-Nur Val sovereign stars, diplomatic channels, and all hostilities have been terminated. These guys look like they're going to be pretty tough. They're a star empire and federation builders. They're xenophiles and materialists, so there's actually quite a bit that we can get along with on this. I speak on behalf of the Ick-Nur Val sovereign stars, and I bring you greetings. Our great leader, Emperor Po-To I, is pleased to have made contact with your unique species, and we look forward to an exchange of culture and ideas. The way forward lies is on our hands, Ick-Nur Vals. So let's, as usual, see if we can... The fact that these guys look pretty strong... yeah, so they're definitely superior. They're not overwhelming, unfortunately, but we do have some pretty good... We have some potential here. Okay. So not quite warm enough for research, that's fine. Let's see if I can get away with buying this with energy. There's limits to what I can do with that, unfortunately. Okay. Let's just see when the needle stops moving. Okay. I bet some minerals will change their mind. 200's a lot to spend. But this will actually probably give me...
Situation log updated.
There we go. It does give me...
Upgraded.
See, the big thing about this one is that this has some nice knock-on effects. Notice that I gained 3
Ships
more...
Upgraded. Construction complete.
I basically gained 3 more research that I could do out of that, which means that's even more people that I can trade with for maps. So I'm not going to do that all the time, but I still have 661 minerals that I can use. Alright, so I got a colony ship. It's going to cost me a pretty penny. But we are going to colonize Chertan 3. Otherwise we stagnate. And I'm actually going to hold off on any other production until we succeed in that. So notice here, right, with those deals, I've gained almost the entire map, which is going to allow me to sort of make some more informed decisions in terms of what I pursue as far as expansion and things like that. Does anyone other than humans wear clothes? Actually, my race does. I will, at the end of this Roguelike Girl, I can show you what all the races look like. There's some really cute ones in the new DLC. Alright, I think I have some more races that I can get in touch with. Oh, hang on. The Blorg Forerunners. Enigmatic Observers. What do you want? Nope, not gonna research with me. Not gonna trade star charts with me. if I give them everything in the bank... Oh, I can't actually... Yeah, so if I give them all of my wealth, it will lightly improve their opinion of me. So where are the Blorg? Right here. At least they don't hate me. The Zaxoid Republic probably isn't going to be trading anything with me soon. Alright, well this makes it easy actually, so I'll just sort by opinion. This should be easy to buy. But they can't be bought with... I don't like spending minerals on this stuff, but if I get 30 years of maps out of it. Right. Viewing our proposal. So basically, as you've probably seen, the name of the game here is to try and gain as much insight into the map as we can in exchange for something that's relatively inexpensive for us. So like, consider how much we've been spending in terms of energy for these maps, and notice that only now we're below half of our capacity. And every time we do one of these deals, we actually gain information in more species. Okay, can't be swayed by energy. I have a feeling this is going to be more minerals than I want to spend. Yeah, I'm not giving up half my minerals for that. So you know what? I think we've done enough wheeling and dealing for a little while. I think I'm sort of content to just see where these things go for the next little while. There really isn't that much left. I mean, the only drawback here is that for my science ships, there's not a whole lot more for them to explore. And one of the drawbacks, I think, is that if I want to do things like find Leviathans, I'm probably going to have to actually do some active exploration. Curious, can I actually travel here? Oh my god, I can. I really didn't want...
System survey complete.
I didn't want to do that, but we might as well do, might as well see what we can accomplish. I'm fascinated that I'm actually able to do this. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm actually not quite ready to... you know what? Screw it. I think it's time that we explored these, and then...
Research
this ship.
complete.
I like that path. I don't think they can get there. They're not able to get there. So let's close off this pocket. So notice that with that path, we can't access here, unfortunately. But basically, in terms of star charts, we've closed this off. We can focus on this little pocket here, and all of this has already been explored. So if I want to move my science ships, I can go to these completely unexplored areas up here. Or I can sort of focus them in the corners over here. But basically, like, we'll have... You know, I already know where my next expansion is going to come from, right? I've got a habitable planet here. If I want to tempt fate, maybe here. But at this point now, I've got a clear idea in terms of what resources I can access with things like frontier outposts and that. And, I mean, again, I was at capacity, basically. I've got 8,500 capacity, so I spent about half of my resources to do that, but we've explored basically the majority of the universe, and more importantly, we can kind of, like, if I wanted to actually, if I wanted to get away with more, if I wanted to be able to, if I wanted to be able to, you know, like, really hit hard with a negotiation, all I need to do is trade that star map, and they'll basically give me anything that I want. Alright. So, physics research. Active countermeasures. I mean, as I build bigger vessels, this will be important, but that's not why we were losing. I could go for higher shields. And it might actually just be, so, the proton torpedoes. Still an energy weapon. It's tempting. But there's two things I'm going to do. One, I'm actually going to research better shields, and then I'm going to slightly adjust my research staff. So I don't want to dismiss him, but... Oh, come on. And this is just placing a slightly better researcher in the role that I need him in. Hey, Jesse Quill. We've been getting our ass kicked tonight, actually. I was planning on wrapping up pretty soon, but we lost a war. I was able to make my allies sort of pay the price, but we did get some exploration done. I kind of want to get to this point where we see the Leviathan. So I think that'll be our big finale. If this is a Leviathan sitting here, we're going to see that by the end of the night. What's going to be interesting about this is to see what I have to pay to colonize above my capacity. So right now we're at 5.5, and I should get an idea here. I have 95.31. Click the surface tile to decay. Yep, I have indeed done that. So it's costing me 8 energy. That I'm not worried about because I've got a surplus. We are, of course, sort of poking a stick in the eye of these guys. We're adding border friction. Actually, you know what I can do? So we've done all of our research of new aliens. So let's see if we can find anybody else to join our Federation. So they're already in the Grand Alliance. Yeah, I don't think anybody else is going to be interested in our Federation. So the last thing I can consider would be the Kastaba planet. And we would... it's high gravity, so it actually has a penalty too. Oh, just equal. Thank you very much for that, host. I'm really sorry that the alerts have not been working. You know, the one drawback about this one is I'm really just taking this planet for its surface resources. As far as what it gives me access to, I think actually I'm going to need more frontier outposts. But while we're waiting, so one thing I want to start doing is rebuilding my fleet, but let's just take a look and see if we can improve my infrastructure at all. We can indeed, so we're just going to straight up upgrade these. Next thing we're going to do, so we've got 4 food, so let's see if we can do some trade-offs in terms of food. We can develop here, here, so that'll knock us down by 2. So I think what I'm probably going to do here is I'm going to put mining resources on these 2 tiles. And I'm going to build a farm on one of these, and I might be able to get away with another mining resource. So... where am I sitting? So I've got power plant, power plant, power plant. Planetary capital. Physics labs. Okay, so we don't have anything mining related yet. So first thing we're going to do, I think, is the mineral processing plant for the planet modifier. Next up, we will build a mining network. Oh my god. I also need to destroy one of these labs and replace it with a research institute, it looks like. No, I do not want to build a power plant. Mining network. We will double down on food production here with the hydroponics farm. I think we're actually going to wait and see what happens with this one. So Liseth is taken care of. Again, we'll do upgrades. So these were basic... this was basic research here. Right now, our deficit is in physics, so we'll start with that. We're probably... yeah, so here we've caught up with physics. This seems like a good start for our research institute, save for the fact that we don't have a planetary capital, so that'll be the next upgrade. And I do actually want this guy to do something, so I'm actually going to build a hydroponics farm because we're at 0 right now. Actually, no, that is very short-sighted. Yeah, that's too short-sighted. So the reason I'm not building the hydroponics farm is once I build the planetary capital, I'm going to be able to upgrade these, which will produce more food. Well, let me think about that. I'm actually going to build one more here because more food is going to increase the population, and then I can switch out my farms to other productions. So this will employ this this population towards something that will let me take advantage of these other territories. So I want to keep an eye on this place. Hizzle Prime, lots of upgrades here. So let's start with the... what is this? Yeah, let's upgrade to a planetary capital. That'll give us access to more stuff. We're still technically behind on physics, but I'm going to do 1 physics here, and then I'm going to do 1 engineering here. We'll also build science in this location. I need to decide what I want to do here. I also think I need to actually boost my happiness. So let's build... I could actually build an artwork, so let's hold off any more production until I decide how I want to divide my resources. I also don't have anything to buy with. This planet's basically maxed out. It's gonna stagnate until I figure out what I want to do with it. So I think the next step is going to be... as soon as I'm able to remove toxic kelp, I want to do that. But because I'm generating 14 food, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this farm. So this farm first, then this farm. And I'll probably put science in its place, or I may consider mineral production. And this planet, I'm not going to do anything with yet. So guys, I know my commentary's sort of left a little something to be desired. Does anybody have any questions about the game, or anything that you would like to see other than the beauty? Okay, a little too close. But man, look at that lens flare. Also, I should start taking a look at victory conditions, because it's becoming apparent that I may not be able to achieve this through fighting, although I'm not sure there's any other way to do so. Surely there is a way of judging this. Oh yes, it's controlling 40%, so I could just colonize 40% of the world. How are things with our former rivals? I think they still hate us, but... Yep, not a lot of improvement there. What's particularly odd to me is there's no option to change the closed border policy. So this is, effectively, this mission is shut off to me until there's some way of reopening these borders. And the only way I can do that is by force, and at the moment, they hold all the cards as far as military might. I'm certainly not going to, to try and take my federation up against them again. Well, thank you, Salvage. I mean, it's more so just, it's a tonight thing in particular. We didn't make much progress in the game, and, we took a step back in terms of the military stuff, which, I mean, let's face it, that was a massive blunder. But I don't know. The big one for me, like, notice I didn't stop the game just because the war didn't go my way. Like, the big thing about the Paradox games, in my view, is that it's still fun to overcome setbacks. And that's the one thing I always try to sort of take with me. Alright, so the Sigma aliens are going to be causing me a little trouble. It's possible, actually, I can't...
Project complete.
It's possible that I can't actually get through that area. An investigation to a peculiar cluster of debris and space dust has yielded surprising results. This particular cloud bristling with a powerful charge of unknown origin that has no business exhibiting simple reflexive actions, let alone movements with a purpose, and yet it does. There's something undeniably ominous about the hazy subject of the relayed video feeds. Perhaps there are some things in the universe that we should not tangle with. Let us watch, but not interfere with them.
Updated.
Alright, so... take a science department with collecting data relating to the void clouds. I'm okay waiting 2 months for this. Alright, have a great one, El Canoe. It's great having you in here. If you're interested what the next couple of streams are going to be, I don't know the order yet, but we're going to do Tyranny, which is another Paradox game, and then we're also going to do the conclusion of... oh my god, do I really have to go all the way through that? Yeah, I'm going to take my chances. We'll be doing the conclusion of Wolfenstein: The New Order. And I'll try not to make it a 4-hour cast like last time. Or sorry, an 8-hour cast like last time. So, it's possible that my science ship is going to get eaten by the Void Cloud. I don't think so, though. They tend to be a little
complete.
passive. The Void Clouds are, as far as Seclocarian researchers can tell, among the oldest entities in the universe. They seem to have originated just a scant few billion years after matter as we know it first appeared. The tremendous forces of the young cosmos making something out of nothing. They would have been stars once, but were not. Explaining their apparent animal intelligence is more difficult, but the answer might be in the abnormally strong electromagnetic fields that keep them together, another product of their primordial beginnings. It is not inconceivable that, given enough time, the circulation of the strange stardust and gravitic fields aligned in a flexible approximation of neural pathways. Moreover, the clouds seem to be receiving impulses from one another, if not outright communicating. Light years apart, quantum entanglement is suspected to play a role in this phenomenon. They will not stand in our way. So I can do extra damage to Void Clouds apparently, but I don't necessarily want to do that. As long as they don't damage my science ship. Which looks like this. Isn't it fancy?
System survey complete.
What in God's name are you doing? Thank you, Jess. I did not choose them myself. The game forced them upon me. Alright, so we've got some more building that we can do. Actually, I don't need to pause for this.
Colony established.
Hello, colony. Okay. So, we have more colonized systems under our direct control than we can efficiently manage. Minus 10% to monthly influence and minus 10% to energy credits. It seems that we're still okay for our monthly quantities. But I definitely want to... I want to find the government that will give me more... more access. Okay, so... makes sense to clear out here first. Start by building a hydroponics farm. And I like what he's... So basically we're gonna start on the food and minerals. I might want to turn this to a mineral location. So what'll probably happen is somebody will start here and possibly here. I'm actually tempted to move them onto food just so I can kind of put as many bodies on the planet to begin with. I think we'll start with a spaceport right away because it's only 360. And what it's actually going to allow us to do is... boost our naval capacity. Also, you know, we'll project a little more power into the universe. My construction ship is no longer feeling useless, so there's a whole bunch more improvements that I can do. Let's start for the... I don't want to build a frontier outpost. I would like to just build mining outposts. Interesting. Oh, because I've already taken this. Yeah. So still not quite in my reach, unfortunately. So let's start with the mining station, then we'll build the research station. Mining, research, and we're out of money. We'll see how my... Oh, more research done. So we've increased our habitability, which is nice. Still no removal of mountain ranges, unfortunately. Not very tempted to do fleet support at the moment. Secrets of Life, though, to boost social research is great. It's very costly. Well, no, you know what? I am going to do mountain range removal, and the main reason for that is I want to see what happens if I do other tile blockers and see if that maybe gives me access to the toxic kelp remover. Otherwise, I would have gone for the biolab, just because, again, science is going to be the thing that allows us to bridge the gap with our enemies. Okay, so we've got an enemy in the area, and I want to make sure that I actually want to see what their reaction is first. It's beautiful! As long as this thing doesn't make a move on me, I'm happy. But if I have to cross the area to travel, then I'm in trouble. Okay, trade treaty with allied Drill Profen. They want payment for a research agreement, huh? And they won't take... Better be worth it. 523. Wow. This is insane. So they're actually getting the better deal. I'm gonna make them pay. They're actually getting the better deal in terms of access to so many more technologies than us. Okay, so we made it. I'll eventually set this back to passive, but for the moment, no. You are not moving back to that hostile area. I just wanted to make sure we got past the roadblock first. Again, for Rothak, unless I can find an efficiency of 5 food, there's nothing else that we can do, so we're all set here. On Liseth, I think we're in the same boat. We're mostly just implementing the improvements that I already did last turn. I'm eventually going to need to make some decisions here, but there's no advantage to working on Jap yet. We've got unused resources. Hello! Chief Executive Officer Zerglis has died at the age of 60, which means we've got new elections. Again, I never want to spend the influence to move on these, and so... Kothaksar, previously a scientist on the ISS Zebrax, is the next ruler. And actually just in time for my construction ship to be getting some bonuses. So I need to get a new scientist, preferably somebody young or good at... Okay, so I think the case here would be for the 31-year-old scientist with the faster anomaly research speed. So looks like one of my guys is migrating, possibly due to unhappiness. So I think time has come to start rebuilding my fleet. So I've got 53, and actually I'm just going to do... Yeah, it's much better than that 90% chance of death that men have, right, Jess? So I'm going to say I'll allocate 17 points to each of my... I mean, that's just a... It's 53 divided by 3, rounded down. So currently I've got 16 points occupied by cruisers. I've got 2 out of 17. So let's do 7 more of these. Or 1, as the case may be. Where are you getting those stats from, Jess? You can't just quote the Huffington Post on me here. I still really want to know what to do with these guys. I'm thinking part of the solution is going to be finding more planets to colonize and building up my fleet capacity that way. But in the end, it's actually going to be costly in terms of influence. I'm actually really tempted to just go deep on Finn and try and make up the gaps with Frontier. Frontier posts.
Construction complete.
Oop, looks like trouble's a brewing. Okay, we've got an inactive building. I'm okay with that. We planned that. Oh yeah, so we don't have a governor for this planet yet. Yeah, you know what? I might as well. Recruitment. Yeah, I'll go for eager because there's not a lot that this planet's going to do for me at the moment. Oh god, Jess. I hope everybody in the room knew what that site was. Otherwise, you are responsible for informing somebody of the existence of that website.
Construction complete.
Alright. Construction ship's just continuing to be a bro. This will be nice for, I mean, this is a nice shot in the arm because in the end, if I ever get too low on my energy reserves and I don't want to, you know, build something that pushes out my influence, I can always just retool some of my my colony development towards energy. What I'm thinking of, though, is to try and find some frontier outpost that I can either put somewhere around here or somewhere around here. For instance, Byram is a very tempting location.
Construction
I'm also very curious why... I think these are probably mining drones. At the moment, we kind of want to rebuild our Grand Navy and hope it doesn't get clobbered like last time. So as far as starts, I think we actually did reasonably well for ourselves in some respects. So for instance, I have generally favorable neighbors. Allied Drul Perfen systems. Beldross United Dominions, not so good. United Nations of Earth, again, another pretty good one for me. These guys got quite powerful quite quickly. I don't quite know where things went wrong with them. I think I was a little too late in starting the war. The one thing that really freaks me out is these two really strong empires, which are just sort of opposed to my ideology. And the real question here is, how do I expand? I mean, there's some tempting stuff to grab in this area here. But there's also sort of this big gap, and it's not at all clear how I how I make that work. Or do I try and do a grab for resources up here? And again, the question becomes, you know, where's the best place for me to place my... So like if you notice here, right, this is what happens when I put a frontier outpost. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna... I think I've got a lighter which roughly covers the radius. Yeah. So like... if I did this, I'm just shy of like all of the really good stuff. And it's not clear that my borders are gonna close in. If I try something like Byram, well... again, I'm just shy of Murfid. I mean, actually... if I did a frontier outpost in Byram, and then I just said, screw it, and colonized Finn, that gives me basically a vertical expansion this way. I might actually be able to make that work. I'll wait till I build my fleet, because that might also trigger a fight with the Zax. What does the Zaxoid Republic think of me?
Construction complete.
They don't like me. Peaceful bureaucracy, equivalent strength.
System survey complete.
And they're actually the enemy of my enemy. Interesting. While I'm at it, let's just look for some weak groups and see if I can... yeah, so they're not going to listen to any of this. Okay, research complete. Looks like the Gambit didn't work. Vitality boosters is tempting because it does give me a leader lifespan, so we're able to correct our genetic heritage. Or galactic markets, which I believe, yeah, so that's a unique building. Tempting. Looks like it's an Empire. Empire unique building. 10% bonus to energy credits, which we're actually starting to get short on again. Yeah, Joseph 4, I mean, the border friction doesn't bother me too much because of who, like, the one that can crush me I already have the border friction with, and the other guys I'm not that worried about. Basically, I need something to kind of give a shot in the arm for the economy. So I mean, the really tempting thing about this galactic markets is the fact that the galactic stock exchange is, it's a purple one. Realistically, I gain more influence by doing the leader lifespan. How long does it take to research both? 29 months versus 51 months. I'll probably regret it, but... eventually I need to start build... oh yeah, actually there's some easy improvements I can make on these for... energy. Not quite enough. Alright, the moment of truth. Let's see what the secrets of the universe are. Ah, communication from the Blorg Forerunners. I've been wondering when these guys actually do something. Greetings, Sec Lokarian. As you no doubt know, we Blorg are dedicated to the study and conservation of all forms of life in the galaxy. We have studied, I believe it studied your species and determined that the League of Sec Lokar provinces is unlikely to last for more than a few centuries at best. To ensure the continuation of the Sec Lokar species, should the worst befall your empire, we would like to acquire a part of your population for our endangered species preserve. We will construct a special reservation that perfectly mirrors the natural habitat of your species, and its population will be well taken care of and protected from all harm, so you need not worry on their behalf. What do you say? Will you contribute to our preserve and safeguard the future of your species? Wow! So we take 1 Seklokar pop from the Empire. They're pleased and may show us favor in the future. And we will gain 10 years of unhappiness because of individualism. I'm super tempted to do it, but this is against everything that my species believes. And I did say I was gonna roleplay this, so our people are not for sale, Blorg. Alright. As the SPS Zimtrax approaches the Gargantua black hole, they find that they are not alone. At the edge of the event horizon, it soars, reflecting light from the stars being drawn into the dark, gaping hole. A giant construction in the shape of a perfect sphere. We cannot pick up any signals from it, nor does anything we send make it respond. It simply sits at the edge of the abyss, waiting.
Situation log updated.
There it is. Why not? Let's just go walk right up to that.
Research complete.
We've now found beings far surpassing anything encountered in our Empire's spacefaring history, life capable of growing to an unprecedented scale, rivaling moons in size and mass. Nothing could have prepared us for this. This day will forever mark a turning point in the story of the League of Seklokar provinces. Let us hope that we survive long enough to tell it. We are but motes of dust. Okay, so we've gained those ever-important shields. We got some really outstanding weapons ahead of us. So again, we can go for antimatter power, which will boost my energy, although I have a feeling I'm not going to be hitting my cap like last time. So I can double down on my offensive capabilities. It's the quantum destabilizer, so let's just see what this does. It lowers their fire rate. That's actually a very tempting one, given the fact that we're outnumbered. But I think we'll go for the incremental improvements. And while I'm at it, let's go to our friends, the Curator Enclave. Yes, I'd still like to purchase a service, although we definitely don't have as much money as we used to. We recruit your scientists. Here we go. Tell us about the Infinity Machine. Ah yes, the chromatic being from long ago. We have studied it for as long as our order has existed, as have several civilizations before it. The machine is beyond ancient. For all we know, it has always been. And yet all it does is orbit that black hole. It's fascinating to us, but we understand it is too much for you to grasp. What is it really? Oh wow, so for 5,000, we can do extra damage to the Infinity Machine. I don't want to take... I can't even take on a rival empire at this point, so what is it really? The Infinity Machine, as you so bluntly call it, is impervious to extraction. No information comes out from it. No hacker or engineer in the entire galaxy has been able to see through its shiny exterior to gain a glimpse of the knowledge it so obviously withholds from us. We are at a loss. We neither know what it is for, nor what it aims to do once it's done. Okay. Well, I don't think I really want to risk the fact that this thing might shoot me out of the sky, so instead... I'll say that I lied. I really do need to get to bed, but let's go investigate our other secret. Alright, we lost a governor on Hizzle Prime. So, first of all, lots of improvements we can make. It's a good science planet. So I either go for a 46-year-old who's good at science, or I go for a 31-year-old who's good at... I mean, I only really get 10 years out of this guy before I start rolling the dice on him. I have a feeling that I'll probably be getting more out of the experience. We'll see how this goes.
Construction complete.
In the meantime, let's just do another round of upgrades. Where we can, at least. I think we upgraded our capital, so let's start with... We'll start with food to start attracting more colonists. And again, I'm out of money. So one thing I notice, it's very difficult for me to decide whether or not... So like, one of the big appeals to me was to finally find a Leviathan, which we did. The only thing is I'm not entirely sure it's worth the trouble. So it looks like there's only 2 of these things, and... they're very, very far away from my area, which can be good in some ways. But it does sort of leave me with the impression, like, was it really worth all that effort? Now, obviously, this is something that, you know, will be a path. But obviously, like, imagine I tried to do this through just natural exploration rather than buying all those maps like I did. I have a feeling I would have been searching for quite some time.
Construction complete.
Alright. Got a nice shot in the arm as far as energy.
Construction complete.
A single massive warship. Oop, don't you dare. A single massive warship has been discovered patrolling the Wumjam system. No life signs can be detected on the vessel, but it is emitting a very strong power signature and appears to be bristling with weapon systems. It does not respond to hails. Caution is advised. Please don't unpause on me, I don't want to die. Eh. It's not as frightening of a Leviathan as I thought it would be.
Evading hostile fleet.
33 days, huh? You better hope this thing is slow.
System survey complete.
Alright, I don't think it's heading towards me. Still don't want to go anywhere near that thing, though. Alright. Leviathans, ladies and gentlemen. Let's... I think we'll end the night plotting an exploration path for my remaining science ship. There's really no... I mean, this is just for pure curiosity that I'm doing this over here, but... Well, you know what? Let's see if we can sort of attack this from another direction. So we started, basically we'll explore this part of the galaxy. This will be the brass ring if I can manage to deal with the Dreadnought. Afterwards, I suppose my question is, do I want to... I think I'll probably explore south where I can. I'm eventually going to run into some people who don't like me, and I'll deal with close borders. I think probably what'll just happen with this science ship is it'll take a big sort of U, and then it'll look around the other edge. As far as this other science ship, we saw what we wanted around here. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able... Yeah, there's no clear path. So after that exploration, I think we'll just clean up the holes. And I guess we do the same thing on the other side of the universe. I mean, these guys aren't going to let us anywhere near them, so we'll get what records we can. And I think here I'll try and do like a little bit of a circle. I mean, usually what happens in these cases is there's some anomaly that happens and I never actually pull it off, but I think I will say that is it for tonight. Maybe I'll just queue up a few more things for the fleet. So we had 4 destroyers. What did I say I was going to do? Like 17 for each unit, so we're at 8. We'll pop out another 4 destroyers. But yeah, so this round, not so good. Militarily, our objective, so there's one very obvious and basically fatal blunder, and then there was one slightly more minor blunder that we made. The plan for the plan for going to war was basically to be able to open the borders for BOI. What I didn't appreciate was that I could actually do the science on this planet while I was at war. And so, in addition to fighting for a... in addition to fighting for open borders, I actually fought to liberate that given planet. And the consequence of that was I wound up with kind of like a war score requirement of like 70-something%. On top of that, oh, I don't like any of these options. So in addition to biting off more than I could chew, I assumed that I would be president of the Federation forever. What happened, in fact, was I lost the access to the Federation fleet. And then all of that could have been dealt with a better handling of the war. But in the end, I was relying on the fact that my allies would sort of act in concert. But it's the AI, you can never expect it to do that. And in the end, I had divided my fleet between Lancord and Karat. So even though we did successfully invade Karat, it only took them to bring their large fleet in. We were cut in half, and we completely lost the Federation fleet before my main fleet could come in to help. Once my main fleet did get in, they were just simply cut down. And at that point, you know, I just continued to make a number of foolish mistakes, like sending science ships into missions that they couldn't possibly hope to achieve in time, and so on and so forth. And so a big waste of resources. In the end, it wasn't fatal to my empire. We're largely on the same path that we were before, save for the fact that we don't have as many ships, and we have obviously wasted resources that could have gone towards, say, improving my planets or something like that. But in the end, it was actually my allies that wound up bearing the brunt. They had a ban on artificial intelligence for 10 years, which probably they should be over. If not by now, then relatively soon, I would think. Now, I mean, this has a consequence for the Federation. Clearly, my allies are not as strong as they would have been if they had not had that inhibition. But, I mean, this is the thing. They weren't very good allies in the first place, so I would much rather have them pay the penalty than me. So, I mean, this is the thing I like about Paradox games, as I said. You know, a blunder isn't going to mean the end of the game for you, but certainly I'm in a weaker position than I would have been, and the only thing I have to blame is myself. There was no reason why I should have taken as much damage and should have lost as many ships as I did. But I don't know. I am reasonably happy that we got so much of the map that we did for basically a song. I mean, we were just sitting on a massive stockpile of energy credits that wasn't going anywhere, and we used a majority of them to effectively explore most of the map. Now, I mean, on one side you could say that that's denying my science officers the ability to it's denying my science officers the ability to gain their experience, but they're short-lived anyway, so, I mean, I'm not really that worried about the fact that I have more I mean, how could I be worried about the fact that I have more information about the galaxy? So, next game. A lot of upgrades to do on a couple of planets. This is stemming largely from the fact that we upgraded a couple of planetary capitals. What I'm also going to wind up doing is going through a lot of these systems here and taking a look at the amount of food that they have, because there's some mature systems in terms of their populations. So for those ones, I want to strip out some of the farms. Great example here would be Pentarium Prime. I definitely need to clear out the toxic kelp at some point, but I definitely don't need double-digit food to fill out those 3 spots. We've got a new planet, obviously there's some more improvements that can be made there. I usually like to focus on food to sort of build that population up as quickly as I can. And then of course, finally finding either new systems of government or new technologies that will allow me to improve my my directly controlled systems. So I think, given the fact